Hey gardening friends, ready to grow healthier plants, bigger harvests, and smarter gardens? Let's get started.
What if every single time you fire up that rototiller in spring, you are actually waking up thousands of weed seeds that were sleeping peacefully right beneath your feet? There is a garden out in Pennsylvania that has not been tilled in over 40 years. And the soil is so dark and crumbly, it looks like fresh chocolate cake, with almost no weeds in sight. Welcome to the Smart Gardener. If you love gardening smarter, not harder, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a video. Every spring, millions of gardeners across America fight the same losing battle against crabgrass, thistles, and dandelions, spending hundreds of dollars on sprays and weed killers, losing Saturday mornings to pulling and bending and aching. The global herbicide market now tops $40 billion a year, and that is not a coincidence. That is a business model built on never actually solving your weed problem for good. But today I am going to walk you through a simple, free, science-backed system that can eliminate weeds permanently. No chemicals, no machinery, and anyone can start using it this season. Let me start with the thing most of us do every single spring without thinking twice. You pull out the rototiller, churn the soil until it looks dark and fluffy and clean, and you stand back feeling pretty good about it. But here is what is actually happening underneath. University research has found that a single square foot of garden soil can hold anywhere from 56 to nearly 15000 viable weed seeds, just sitting there in the dark, waiting. All those buried seeds need is one brief flash of sunlight, and every pass of that tiller blade is scooping them right up to the surface, handing them exactly what they have been patiently waiting for. But the damage goes even deeper than weed seeds. Tilling destroys the underground fungal networks that act like a plumbing system for your plants, helping roots pull water and minerals from places they could never reach on their own. Studies show that conventional tilling can wipe out up to 40% of that fungal diversity, and it breaks apart a natural soil glue called glomalin that accounts for as much as 27% of all the carbon stored in healthy soil. Without it, your garden bed bakes into hard cracked clay by midsummer. So the very first step is simple. Retire that tiller for good, and let the soil start healing itself. Now, if the tiller is retired, you might be wondering how a new garden bed actually gets started. The answer comes straight from nature. Walk into any undisturbed forest and look at the ground. It is never bare. Fallen leaves, decaying twigs, and plant debris form a continuous blanket that smothers weeds, feeds the biology below, and locks in moisture. The method copies that exact system using plain brown corrugated cardboard. You just cut existing vegetation as low as possible, water the area thoroughly, then lay overlapping sheets of cardboard with the edges overlapping by at least 4 to 6 inches, because weeds will find even the smallest gap. Cover everything with 2 to 4 inches of compost and a protective top layer of straw or shredded leaves. Why cardboard instead of plastic landscape fabric? Because cardboard blocks 100% of sunlight while also breaking down into food for earthworms. Field observations show worms congregating under fresh cardboard within 5 to 7 days, and their population can triple or quadruple within 2 months. Plastic fabric, on the other hand, slowly suffocates the soil life beneath it and tears into ragged strips you end up pulling out by hand. Gardeners using this cardboard method have reported yields increasing by 40% compared to their old tilled beds. And here is the best part. You can plant transplants the very same day by cutting a small X in the cardboard and setting them right into the soil below. The cardboard method handles the weed problem from the top down, but what about unlocking the full potential of each individual plant? A lot of dedicated gardeners hit a frustrating plateau where they water consistently, add plenty of compost, and the plants look decent enough, but just refuse to truly take off. The leaves stay pale, the fruit comes in small and scarce. Often, the real culprit is invisible. The nutrients are physically there in the soil, but they are chemically locked up because the pH is out of balance. Think of it like a pantry full of groceries, with every cabinet padlocked shut. The fix uses 2 things most households already have: spent coffee grounds and clean hardwood ash. Coffee grounds have a near-neutral pH around 6.5 to 6.8, and they stimulate the soil microbes that build better soil structure. Hardwood ash is packed with potassium, calcium, and magnesium, the exact minerals tomatoes and peppers crave. But here is the critical catch. Never mix dry ash directly with coffee grounds. The high alkalinity turns the nitrogen into ammonia gas that escapes into the air and can burn tender young roots. Instead, stir just 2 tablespoons of ash into about a quart of water and let it sit overnight. At planting time, drop a handful of coffee grounds into the bottom of the hole. Pour about a quarter cup of that milky ash liquid over the top and set your transplant right in. 5 minutes, 0 cost, and a noticeably stronger start. Now that technique gives each plant a boost at the moment it goes in the ground. But what about those long, empty months between growing seasons when the garden sits bare and exposed? Bare soil is an open invitation, and nature will rush to cover it with whatever grows fastest, which in most gardens means weeds. The answer is a remarkable grain called cereal rye. Scatter the seed across your beds in early fall, about 4 to 6 weeks before the first hard frost, and it sprouts quickly and grows right through winter without any watering or attention. Here is what makes it so powerful. Cereal rye produces natural chemical compounds called benzoxazinoids in its roots and leaves. When the residue breaks down in early spring, those compounds release directly into the soil and suppress weed germination by up to 95% for 30 to 60 days. Research has even shown that rye left lying on the surface suppresses weeds twice as long as rye tilled into the ground, which is exactly why you never plow it under. About 3 to 4 weeks before planting time, you simply cut the rye at the base and leave it flat on the soil like a thick golden blanket. Your spring transplants go right through small openings cut in that mat. One simple fall planting replaces months of weeding the following year. Cereal rye handles the big picture beautifully, but what about the thousands of tiny weed seeds still sitting right on the soil surface waiting for their moment? For those, there is a brilliantly simple trap called the stale seedbed. You prepare the garden bed exactly as if planting day has arrived. Rake it smooth, water it deeply, and then you walk away. You do nothing for 7 to 10 days. What happens next is predictable. Thousands of dormant weed seeds near the surface sense the moisture and the light, and they sprout eagerly, pushing up thin little green threads. That is when the trap snaps shut. A sharp hoe, lightly scraped across the top half-inch of soil, wipes out an entire generation of weeds in about 5 minutes. Repeat that process twice before planting, and you can reduce weed emergence by up to 90% for the rest of the growing season. Between the tall crops like tomatoes and pole beans, sow white clover directly between the rows. This low-growing clover delivers 3 benefits at once. It forms a dense living carpet that crowds out weeds. It pulls free nitrogen straight from the air and delivers 80 to 130 pounds of it per acre into the surrounding soil. And its white blossoms attract pollinating insects that dramatically increase fruit set on everything nearby. And here is something that might surprise you. Research has shown that ground beetles, small hard-shelled nocturnal predators that thrive under cover crops and mulch, come out at night and consume 65 to 90% of weed seeds resting on the soil surface. While you are sleeping, a quiet army of allies is patrolling your garden and eating the next generation of weeds before they ever get a chance to sprout. Now everything we have covered so far builds healthier soil season by season. But there is one final addition that can keep your soil fertile, not just for years but for centuries. Over 2,000 years ago, ancient peoples in the Amazon rainforest discovered that burning wood and plant material slowly, with very little oxygen, and stopping the fire at the charcoal stage created something extraordinary. They mixed that charcoal into their soil and built what is now called terra preta, or black earth, soil so rich and so resilient that it remains fertile to this day, thousands of years later. That charcoal is what we now call biochar. It is full of microscopic pores and crevices that become tiny shelters for beneficial fungi and bacteria, like a hotel for the microorganisms that keep your soil alive. Unlike compost, biochar does not break down. You add it once, and the benefits last for hundreds of years. Tomatoes, strawberries, and peppers benefit the most. You can make it at home by digging a cone-shaped pit, burning dry branches with limited airflow, and quenching the fire with water once the wood turns to charcoal. But here is the one thing you must remember. Always soak your biochar in compost tea or worm-killing liquid for about 2 weeks before mixing it into the soil. If you skip that step, the biochar will actually pull nutrients away from your plants instead of feeding them. When you step back and see all of this together, something quietly powerful comes into focus. When the tiller gets retired and the cardboard goes down, when coffee grounds and wood ash replace store-bought products, when cereal, rye and clover and earthworms and ground beetles and biochar are allowed to do the work they were always designed to do, gardening stops being a battle. It becomes a partnership, a conversation between you and the ground where both sides finally understand each other. Every technique in this video shares one thing in common. It works with nature instead of against it. No special equipment, no annual trips to the chemical aisle, just observation, patience, and a willingness to let the soil do what it already knows how to do. It costs nothing. It saves your back and your knees. And it builds rich, dark, living soil that will outlast every gardener who tends it. A quiet legacy passed down not in dollars, but in the dirt itself. If this changed the way you think about your garden, share it with a friend who might be ready to put down the sprayer and pick up the cardboard. Leave a comment below. Are you retiring your tiller this spring? Thank you for spending this time with the Smart Gardener.